It's Totally Awesome Fishing Show time again. I thought, what film can I put up that might give people an idea of how to get and how to rig a cheap, easy bait. I went down to my local beach to do the filming. When I say local, 50 miles away. But there you go, had to do it in the daytime, couldn't film at night, although night is the best time for fishing. This is an idea, it might help you get a crab out there and maybe get one bite, but it might be one big fish. Okay, well look, I've come down here to the beach just for literally an afternoon. That's right, 1:10, not exactly an early start. It is looking like it's going to turn into a fantastic day, but not a fantastic day for fishing. But you know what us beach fishermen are like, on the shore anglers, we just never really know. So what I come down really to show you is different ways of putting crab on. There's a couple of different ways. One's a standard way, but one's sort of my idea of catching putting a crab on. And in this case, I'm not using peeling crabs. I'm going to be using frozen hardback shore crabs. That's all. So I'm going to get one of three species: a smooth hound, a thornback ray, a bass. Probably nothing else at all is going to take it, because they're quite chunky. They're quite big crabs. It's just a way of not wasting bait, because at the end of the day, by the time I go, and I live 50 miles from the sea, there's not too many crabs crawling around in my back garden. So what I want to do is show you this way that used to be the old school way of putting a crab on, and my slightly more modern way, a sort of theory of why I rig it up like I do. I chucked a couple of rods out here, a couple just down there. They've got single hook pulley panel rigs on them. I haven't gone for multi-hooks, lots of little baits and everything like that. I have got, because I couldn't get any ragworms, some frozen black lug, so I've gone frozen all the way. No way is it as good as fresh bait, we know that, but that's all I could get. The downside is it's very, very bright. The upside is there's a lovely, beautiful ripple on the water. It's sparkling. The downside is it's a bit too clear for fishing. The upside is I could take my jumper off, my sweatshirt. It's pretty warm. Who knows? I might scare the seagulls and take the shirt off. Not a pretty sight. I've gone fixed spools all the way here. This one I've got braid on, 50-pound braid straight through. I'm not bothering with shock leader because I'm just lobbing it out there. That one is a Coniflex. That's a make, my old one. It's a 2600 the blank. Throws 6 to 8 ounces. This one is a Coniflex as well. This is a 2400. That one throws, probably optimum weight would be 4 to 5 ounces. Fixed spool with mono on, a shock leader at the end. So this is 18-pound mono, wouldn't go much lighter. I'll make sure, if you're fishing big baits like this, you've got plenty around the back end of down here. Plenty of weight around there, because if a fish cranks off, it's going to tip that lot right over. And well, they do drag rods in the water. As I say, I'm probably going to catch nothing. Oh man, I could smell the ozone. I could also smell a blank, but I'm going to give it a go. Just up here, actually first cast, I just chucked those out 15 minutes ago. I'm going to give them about a good half an hour. They're going to wind in, because I shouldn't get the bait stripped, because it's like blue on blue, you know what they say, crab on crab. So they're hardback crabs, not soft peelers or softies or velvet swimmers. They are hardback, plain green shore crabs. So the crabs themselves, the live ones out in the ocean, are going to have a bit of a hard time chewing through the shells. They should last quite a while. This one, I've got a smaller fixed spool reel here. I just got nylon, just so guys know, I've got nylon there, and then I've topped off with braid, say 125 yards of braid, because I'm not going to be casting 125 yards by the time I've got a decent crab bait on there. This one, he says, looking at it, is, yes, a Coniflex. This one is a bass rod, casting weight, optimum that is, 3 ounces. Unfortunately, I've got 5 on there. Then I've got GT 9000 reel. They probably discontinued them now, they're all old reels. This one I like this one, it's got the ball handle to it, not selling them, just saying I like it. This one's God knows how old. And that one is called a flounder basher, again a Coniflex flounder basher. Who knows whether they're still available, you might be able to pick them up second hand. I'm not saying they're the greatest rods, they're just the rods I use. What you must do really is, I don't know if you're going to get wind in the mic here, I'm just going to take a punt at this one, is make sure that drag is set so line can be pulled off under pressure, okay? It says high power drag system, wow. So you don't want that locked up, otherwise again, as deep as you bury it in the shingle down here, it is still going to get wrenched over. If you, not so much with the bass, not so much with the thornback ray, but a smooth hound, feeds in a different manner, and he could crank these right over. So tidal situation, boys. Fairly big tides, as I understand it, but sort of mid-range. It's a 3 o'clock high, so I've got sort of basically I'm fishing 2 up, I'm going to fish 3 down. There is some weed here, I'll show you on the tide line previously. I'm hoping it's not going to be too horrendous. Look, you can see it all up and down there on the tide line. And that's the last tide line just in here, which the waves have dumped just over there, so hopefully I put my gear high enough. Look, I can move it, can't I? The tide is coming in, so obviously I can move back down. I can probably fish the whole system here for 5 hours in this position and, you know, leave the rods like that. Look, let me show you. I thaw the crabs out in a bucket. You can just tear them open. Some of these are quite big, I can cut them down. I split them in half and I put them on elasticated. Oh, I'm all wobbly, I'm feeling all weak, I haven't had enough to eat. Off I go. Been in the sun too long, Graeme. So those I'll probably cut down and make half baits, and that's what I'm going. That is a perfect size for, yes, wrasse, but I'm not fishing for wrasse in deep rocky waters. That is a perfect size for off the beach. Say they're all frozen, and I use these in the boat as well. And you can even use sections of these, but once inside the meat will be soft, so I try to use them whole if I can. It's one of those situations where it is, you know, a decent big fish or nothing. And keep them in the cool. This is a 1 session wonder there. Just bag them, freeze them, 10 or 15, whatever you think you're going to use. So now ordinarily, I wouldn't really entertain fishing for big fish. Bright sunny day like this, clear water. Fine out boat fishing and no trouble at all. You're in deeper water, 30 to 50 feet. There's a lot less light penetration. So, you know, here is just a punt, just a gamble, a throw of the dice. I did it more to come down, kill a few hours, and right, it's too good to waste, isn't it, really? I would want to be fishing the similar situation with the tide coming in, let's say 3 hours up, high water 3 hours down, but coinciding with high water being in the low light, around about sunset, dark, that type of thing. Or indeed, some guys get up 3 o'clock in the morning just to get the tide right. They're the ones that catch the good fish. The guys go beach fishing on a blazing sunny day like this, generally don't do good at all. The only time they do good is when the low light levels, you know, drop everything and the fish come in and hunt. And of course, if there's been a big stir, a big bit of wind, it's going to stir it all up, puts a bit of colour in the water. Again, that does give them a little bit of confidence. Now they also pick this section of, this is an island I'm fishing off, because there's a channel at each end, and that means there's tidal flow coming in and out. So that is another point. I've not fished in the middle, I've come more towards, I suppose I'm about, wow, a good 400 or 500 yards from the main channel. But being big tides, it's going to push a lot of weed in and out there, a lot of rubbish coming through. You're even more limited to, say, maybe a half an hour either side of high water, which is the peak fishing time. Deeper water up there, but I want a bit of fishing time, you know, I don't want to take a gamble and walk all my gear up there when it's broad daylight like this. Night time, I will be fishing up there. So now ordinarily, I wouldn't really entertain fishing for big fish. Bright sunny day like this, clear water. Fine out boat fishing and no trouble at all. You're in deeper water, 30 to 50 feet. There's a lot less light penetration. So, you know, here is just a punt, just a gamble, a throw of the dice. I did it more to come down, kill a few hours, and right, it's too good to waste, isn't it, really? I would want to be fishing the similar situation with the tide coming in, let's say 3 hours up, high water 3 hours down, but coinciding with high water being in the low light, around about sunset, dark, that type of thing. Or indeed, some guys get up 3 o'clock in the morning just to get the tide right. They're the ones that catch the good fish. The guys go beach fishing on a blazing sunny day like this, generally don't do good at all. The only time they do good is when the low light levels, you know, drop everything and the fish come in and hunt. And of course, if there's been a big stir, a big bit of wind, it's going to stir it all up, puts a bit of colour in the water. Again, that does give them a little bit of confidence. And what you will get with the smoothhound is they're what I would call a fast feeder. They'll come up to the bait, they'll grab these crabs to crunch them. Now I don't know whether they shake them or just munch them up, but it's quite rare to get a deep hook smoothhound. I think other anglers will tell you that, especially with the crab. They tend to want to pick the crab up and bolt away with it, obviously to eat it and go looking for another one. Can you blame them? Now, I've seen some taps on my right hand rod, the first one I put out, because that's got braid, so it registers everything. It's probably what I'm going to call blue on blue. It's crab on crab, but they're going to have a heck of a job chewing away all that crab. I'm going to give it about 45 minutes on winding. Obviously, if they've shelled the complete crab, I'm going to have to bait it more regularly. When I do a wind in, I'll show you how I'm rigging it up, because there is a different way of hooking crabs if you're just lobbing them out, especially for bass. I'm going to have to use this with the head cam because I've forgotten the tripod on the other camera, which is much better at this sort of thing, but we work with the head cam. Let's get rid of that because they don't do me any favours, so they ain't getting any publicity. Right, I've got here a 4-0 hook. Hopefully you can see that against the box here. Tied onto, let's say, my trace. This, as you'll notice, is, that's right, a paper clip. So what we used to do years ago, I didn't invent it, it was done 40, 50 years ago, standard method of fishing mostly for bass with a crab bait. But there we go, you've straightened out the paperclip wire. I'm hoping you guys can see this. No bites yet, they've been out there coming up close to an hour. I have another hour and 10 before high water, but I've always liked an ebb tide going out. I feel the food is washed out. So there, hopefully you can see this, people. The paper clip there is straightened out. So this is what we used to do. With the paper clip through the eye of the hook like that, put a bend in it so it's parallel, then bend this out the other side and around that shaft, that tag end we call them. That's what the fishermen call that, a tag end. Look, I'm bending it around and around and around, sort of whipping it on, and then I get to about there. Can you see that, people? And then what we used to do, we either leave that or you snip it off, either way, or some people leave it doubled like that. It depends whether you can get your snippers in there or not. Doesn't really make much difference. Bend that back. That is going to be the retaining spike that holds the crab on. Let me get a crab and I'll show you what I mean. Here's one little chappie I prepared earlier with his nippers that are no longer nipping anybody. Just going to use this one as a guide. You could spike underneath in the softer part if you wanted and whip those legs either side, or you can spike in the top. It really makes no difference. I'll show you what I mean. If you just put a little bit more angle in that there, then I'm going to spike through here, just twist and twist. Some people actually don't bother with that. They get another old hook and put that on there, so you can see that crab spiked on there. Then get my dig around for the elasticated thread, a bait thread. We used cotton back then, and then bind the crab around and around and around. Now, sometimes anglers will be doing this and notice that the crab slips around in a big gobby bit around here, and that masks the whole point. Whereas if you can see this, the way I've done it with the old school method of using a paper clip, the hook point is clear at all times. Now, if we do this, if you've got a live crab you're casting out, not very far, we bind the claws up like this and the legs up so they can't run and hide under a stone. Otherwise, you cast them out, a live crab, and he just goes, I'm going to bring this over here, there's a stone and weed, right? Cast out, plop, he goes in the seabed, he goes, forget this for a game of soldiers, I'm off. And he hides under there and you think, well, I haven't caught anything today. So, by whipping the legs up, this is a dead one, this is a frozen one, guys. You can see, if this was a live one. Now, look, if I'm fishing that dead, just lobbing it out for, let's say, bass, that is it. Look, it's rigid, the hook point stays there. You can bind it a lot tighter than that. I've just done that to show you. But if it was a live one, I would bind. In fact, I will show you, why not? I'm waiting for a bite, I'm waiting for fish. It's one of those afternoons where you sort of know you're not going to get anything, but you always live in hope, like shore fishermen do. We're all the same, we all live in hope. There's a fine line between hope and stupidity, I feel. Now, that's what I'm doing there. Binding it around. And don't do this, people. Do not bind over the point of the hook like that, because that's going to stop it pulling in. Now, you'll notice as tight as I'm binding this, And I always finish off on the tip of the legs here. As tight as I snap it. Look, it just falls. Many times as you want to drop it. He comes along, he sucks out. That hook point is always clear. So there you go. The paperclip method of spiking your crab bait on. Indeed, you could use it for others as well if you wanted. And I'll show you the other little tip that I've got, which I feel, I've done it with squid, but I'll show you what I do with worms as well. Now then, using this paperclip method here, you can see that, put it that way against the blue sky, you can see if a bass comes along and sucks it up, it's instant strike. You don't have to worry about feeding him any bait. If he's got it, you're going to hook him. Unless it's like a £1.5 bass, obviously tugging at it. But there you can see it, crab bait. Wow, it's got fish written all over it, just not today. I'll move around this way because the wind is picking up. Like the other way is just my way of doing it. More for keeping anglers happy. I get my worm, can be a ragworm, a fresh lugworm, or in this case a frozen black lugworm. I just get a bit of spit, wet it on the shank of the hook. Take the worm. This is generally on some hooks, smaller crab baits and smaller hooks. This is a 2.0 knife flaw, very, very sharp hook. It's called a knife flaw. Thread the worm all the way around. So I've snipped the tag end of the knot down. I pop it up over like that. Hopefully you'll see this. I pop it right up over, slide out the line a bit, then I get my crab, this is just my way of doing it, just lightly through the edge of the shell there, see, just lightly, and then I bind just one set of legs. These are frozen crabs. Bait thread, forever lasting losing bait thread. Does everybody else lose bait thread? Drop it on the shingle, it's gone. Okay, dead easy. Obviously I'm binding those legs, that stops the crab going down sliding down the bend of the hook. But sometimes the worm will. So what I do, if you can see this, hopefully, I guess you guys are getting it. I never know till I get home, that's a problem. I'm going to start whipping around the main line like this, pulling the worm up to keep it nice and straight, and then just at the top like that I finish off with a half hitch. Some people don't, I do. Now then, that can then slide back down. Now to me, along comes Mr. Fish. He's looking for crabs. If a crab sees a fish near him, he's going to scuttle off under here. He's going to go off over there and hide somewhere. If he's feeding, he's sort of not looking behind him, is he? So I feel a fish could come up behind him and think that crab is feeding on that worm. Now that could be a piece of squid as well, you know, I mean that's why I say it could be a piece of squid, ragworm, lugworm, black lug, whatever. Fish bait even. I've done it with fish bait like this for congers. So it looks like it's feeding, you see. There's his claws. I don't bind these, I just leave them loose. This is just for lobbing out 40, 50, 60 yards. And it sort of looks from a fish's point of view as if the crab is engaged in eating the worm. I got the smell off the crab, I got the smell off the worm. To me, it's double bubble. It's just another tip. If you guys can think of a variation of it, have a go at it, because that is what it's all about. Just working things out, experimenting, trying different rigs is part of, well, it's part of the fun of fishing, isn't it? I'll show you guys these two different ways how I rig my crabs up. More for big fish, but let's face it, a bright day on a beach like this, I'm basically, yeah, that's right, I'm pretty well here for the sunshine. But beach fishing in England, you just never know. If you're fishing in clear water, some guys that do these paperclip holders for the crab holding on the hook, the bait holder I'm going to call it, you can buy, instead of just the plain silver ones which I've got here, you can buy colour ones. Now these stand out really well over a nice sandy bottom, the white ones, and of course you've got pink, blues, yellows, so you've got different colours that you can make that little spike, and there might be a tag end of it that the fish see, who knows. But just to let you know that the modern ones come with a sort of plasticized coating rather than plain metal. I don't expect they last any longer, but listen, they're going to catch a few fish for you, and it's an option you've got to play with. I just wheeled this one in, and this is why this has been out 1.5 hours. The crab outline is still there, but look how, I think you put it there, something's eaten the whole inside away. Now, is that other worms, something like ragworm, or is that other crabs? And something's eaten the whole inside, or maybe it's just washed out. Now you could use that again, cast it out, but the hooks are being held just by the legs. I like to have a hook in the shell and with the legs on. So we take him off like that and put a fresh one on, I think. Oh, nothing. Does not surprise me. Bright day, clear water. Feels like there's a fish on, but there's not. I could have come and fished all small baits with worms. Left hand rod back there looks a bit slack. But I now know I can afford to leave these here, well, pretty well, almost indefinitely for the whole session. I'm going to send him out, but not very fast, near high water. So I figure anything big moving inshore, I'm going to put him just at the back of the waves, maybe 40 yards. Just lob it out. Only going to whip the legs on this time to hold it. Give me some holding point there. I'm not going to clip it down. Not going to blast it out there. Just going to lob it and leave it. It's quite catchy, isn't it? Lob it and leave it. And then it's washing around on the seabed. Any movement might make it appear that that guy is alive. That's the theory. Another experiment that's probably going to be doomed to failure. Now, although this is only a small reel, I'll come this way so you don't get the wind. It's only a small reel. I've been, like a lot of guys, even boat fishing, I've been going more and more for these fixed ball reels or spinning reels, as you know. And they're pretty good, you know. The modern ones have good drag systems. Yeah, decent one. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Caught some good big fish on it. You can see there is still a bait there. Tells me there's no smooth hounds or bass there yet. There's nothing wrong with that crab, but I will top it off probably with a bit of worm. Well, I'll tell you what, people, I'm glad I didn't go out on my boat today. It is howling. I think you'll agree from the pictures early on when I first turned up, there was a lovely little shimmer on the water. It's absolutely howling there now. And when it's rough like this, it stirs up inside a bit. That's why it made me think about dropping those baits shorter. There's a little bit of colour in the water. Maybe fish will come in there at the top of the tide looking for food. Theories. Where will we be without theories? But I do like a bit of beach combing anyway. Obviously quiet, I can keep an eye on the rods. I walk down first, turn around, and I can glance up at the rods. My garage is full of rubbish that I don't need. Bits of rope, lobster pot buoys. Tonight is the time to come out. There will be guys coming down tonight to fish the same tide that come in, you know, for the high water is going to coincide with darkness. That's the time to come. But I figured in the pitch dark I'm not going to be able to show you people how to put those crabs on, little tips and stuff like that. So I've had a great afternoon out. The weather's been pretty good apart from the wind. That's why I'm hiding behind this breakwater. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to refreeze those crabs I've got left. I'm not going to waste them. They're going back in the freezer. I'm going to hit somewhere else. I don't know where to go, whether another beach or maybe go on the rocks. But I'll tell you what, they're going to get used because hardback crabs are great baits. Don't go away. I'm packing up here and I'm moving on. Well, there you go. I didn't catch any fish, but at least you guys can see how to use a paper clip for spiking up a crab so your hook is always clear. Now then, I just thought I've got some really nice clips put together of after the lockdown. We were locked down for 3 months with this COVID and then we were allowed out. The world and his wife went out. And I wanted to show it's the sort of hope that the human race has of being out near water, out in the outdoors. You can sort of see it reflected in the pictures I got. People have been locked down for 3 months and then they get out. They want to play with all their boaty toys. And it is generally the way life should be. Let's just hope it gets back that way, guys. I mean, it's really nice, isn't it? It's what life's all about. Well, after seeing those shots, it does make you really want everything to get back to normal, doesn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching this section of the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. It's a midweek special. Well, it's midweek, but what happens when people watch it on Saturday or Sunday? It's not midweek, Graeme. Oh yeah, never thought of that. Anyway, it's just a little lightener, trying to lighten the mood through the rest of the week for you, getting you ready for the big fishing film on a Friday. If you want to support the channel, great. You've got Ranger Clothing here. Mike does all this. There is a link in the description, he tells me. He does all that. I don't have anything to do with it. So you can support us that way, or you can go to TA Outdoors, and they got clothing there as well. Again, should be links in his description on his channel there, both brother and sister channel, run entirely by ourselves. We'll see you next time. Hit the subscription, hit the notification bell, and we'll hopefully have a fish on the end of the line next time.